Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim. So let's begin here on beincrypto.com. Ripple Labs president Monica Long is bullish that Ripple will win its case against the SEC. Long said that the facts and law support a favorable outcome for Ripple. Let me tell you something. Everything's looking good, but they're literally going to need to deploy the new financial system globally. And I'll tell you what else. You see, let's piece together some pieces to the puzzle. The rest of the world is not in as a good position as the United States right now because the United States has a lot of power. Now, granted, the United States is losing a lot of power, but they still have a prominent position nonetheless, right? So now add to the mix that the global debt, they're not talking about this. They don't want the people to know. We have to talk about it. The global debt is reaching alarming levels that will crush the other countries if they don't deploy the new financial system. Because of the control mechanisms with the new financial system, you can sort of avoid some of the problems of this world-crushing debt. Don't worry, we're going to get to an article where it tells you what I'm talking about. So I think that's one of the reasons they're racing toward it. They have to have a solution. Smart contracts, control, stopping the bank runs. And yes, they can do that. You saw Circle just do that. They press a little button and Coinbase shut down the possibility of converting your USDC. They stopped the bank run. So don't let people tell you that can't happen. It already did. They want that control. Stop the bank runs while everything's going on. And let me tell you something. They can also control people through that. When everything, if everything were to get real chaotic, if you tell somebody, hey, you need to stop doing what you're doing, we'll shut that money off. Hey, there's a lot of control involved. I'm trying to say a lot without saying a lot. Let's go here to this article. All right. I want to show you. The United States debt is a problem in and of itself. They're still squabbling and arguing and going to take it right down to the last second on trying to solve the U.S. debt crisis. They haven't come up with a deal on that just yet to raise the debt ceiling, so to speak, which is unbelievable. United States is already, it's in a bad spot. Let's just put it that way. But it's not just the United States. We have to we have to see with 360 degrees of mental clarity, right? We're talking mental vision here. So that's one aspect of it, the United States debt. That is going to be a huge problem, especially as other countries begin to not use the dollar, right? Isn't there a deal between certain countries now where they're going to be trading only in Chinese yuan, right? Where does that leave the dollar? Dollar dumping, right? Dumping United States debt that they have purchased. Wait a minute. Let's go here. I just want to touch on this very briefly. This is an article. It's actually from Bloomberg.com. And it says this: global debt racing to 366% of output. Risks next crisis, S&P warns. Higher interest rates drives uptick in servicing costs. Develop economies to drive increase amid slower growth. The world, this is what the article says, the world is at risk of a crisis as governments, households, and financial institutions binge on debt. The system cannot continue on this way. It just can't. Now, for holders of the bank coins, holders of pieces of the new financial system, and even people building on the infrastructures to run the new financial system or employ it, if all of this does happen, there is a global collapse or reset, they stand to come out on top. Sure, new 1% is definitely possible. Let's read a little further here. It says binges on debt, a habit that S&P Global Ratings warns could push overall leverage to 366% of global gross domestic product by 2030. Do people understand what's going on? They think that what they just saw was something. That's nothing. They literally have to deploy the new financial system. It says that will mark a sharp increase from the world's, I would say sharp for sure, the world's $300 trillion pile of debt. 300 trillion. Or 349% of global GDP. As of June 2022, it says as leverage rises slightly faster for mature economies than emerging peers. This article was released January 13, 2023 by Maria Elena Vizcaino. It says S&P's Terry Chan and Alexander Dimitrovich wrote in a report. That is mind-blowing. All right. World is at risk of a crisis, but no one's talking about it. The world, every single one of them, all these countries, they're keeping the people distracted. You know, sometimes I look at the picture and I see the empire that people, you know, say that the West is. But realistically speaking, a lot of these countries have gone hand in hand. Really, it's been a global empire, really, not just the West. All of them have been working together really to a great degree. To a great degree, while the legacy system elites enrich themselves. Unfortunately, that's the way that it's been. The people on the bottom are the ones who suffered. But sometimes I think the people on the bottom conflate themselves with their elites, with their so-called leaders. That is not the case. The leaders never suffer. Rarely suffer. Anyway, so now let's go back to this article here. So let me tell you something. What happens when they deploy the new financial system to use it in every way possible to move not just capital, but now legacy system capital, but commodity-based capital everywhere around the world. They're scraping up the trillions from the unbanked, so to speak. They don't fool me when they're talking about the unbanked. It's extra capital, extra value, extra money. And here's another thing. In some of these regions where it's hard to bring liquidity to the value of some of the minerals that they're extracting, now those corridors will allow that capital to flow easily. So now that capital can be tallied with the rest, can join the pool of capital instantaneously. We just need scans on all the bags, like how they have the minerals that they lost that was in the warehouse, you know. They thought they had some silver or something like that they didn't have, and they just had it sitting there. Not anymore. As soon as those minerals are bagged, QR code is on it with VeChain or some offering on Algorand or something like that. They scan it. How much is this worth in value? That's added. Now we can liquidate that. If we do choose to liquidate that value or sell it, whatever, then that can now be transported to whoever purchased it, unless they want to hold it in that warehouse, which is definitely possible. So what I'm saying is that's a lot of value instantaneously. As soon as the commodity is extracted, that value can be played with instantaneously. This is what people are not seeing. What does it do to the price? You know, Ripple and XRP and Volante and everybody else building on the XRPL are deep into the tokenization of everything. You know that Algorand is deep into the tokenization of everything. Hedera. What does it do to the price of these commodities when this rolls out? And people are talking about patience. You're not patient. You don't want a piece of that wealth. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not here to influence not a single person. I'm just a humble researcher. But what does it do to the price of that? I have to have a piece of that. I have to. We have quick money plays. I'll go play with some quick money plays. That's easy work. I want that big money also, that bank money, that tokenization of the trillions of dollars, B2B, B2P, non-bankable asset, trillions in non-bankable assets, trillions. If you know, you know. the tokenization of debt. You remember they said they have all those trillions of dollars that are unaccounted for, missing, dark money, and they were talking about dark banks. Remember that? Not anymore. Not anymore. They'll be able to track that. They'll be able to extract that. And that will be flowing through the new financial system as well. What does it do to that price? Let me tell you something. There's no way that I can believe hundreds of banks signed up for XRP without reason. Why? They knew that the central banks were going to work on certain CBDC projects and such. Why did all the hundreds sign up for XRP? Because they knew what was coming. They're not dummies. They have advisors. They knew the world was going to be split. They knew it was going to be a multipolar world. They knew nobody's going to be using Swift. Well, very few are going to be using Swift. They need a bridge. XLM, XRP, Algorand, they need a bridge. So they got in early, letting XRP and Stellar set up corridors all around the world. It's not by mistake. And they make sure they pay people to FUD. Bots FUDding all the time. They try to chase people off. Bots flooding everybody's comment sections. Articles written negative, irrationally negative on all the different bank coins, or they're not talked about at all. How do they not talk about LCX? What? Or Quant? Some of the stuff we read about Quant has been mind-blowing. I can barely keep up with all of it and remember all of it. There were 3 different infrastructure governing bodies. One of them was in the United Arab Emirates that we read about directly from Quant, I might add. That was huge. I didn't see any articles reporting on that. None. I read a ton of articles per day. Not all of them are relevant, but you got to comb through everything to find some relevant information. I didn't see anything about that. That was mind-blowing. Why? Who's paying who so they don't talk about these things? You see where this is going? Same thing with Hedera. Let's move on here. So now let's get on to a little bit of XLM news. This is from Reuters, okay? We have to keep an update on what's going on in the Ukraine. It says here, it says, Ukraine's economy ministry has lowered its GDP growth forecast for 2023 to 1%. The Interfax Ukraine news agency quoted a deputy minister as saying on Monday, the ministry had previously projected that the economy, which has been hit by redacted, and shrank by about a third last year, would grow 3.2% this year. Let me tell you something. Wait a minute. Here's the implications of this, in my humble opinion. And may all of goodness be with the people on the ground over there. I have a lot of people that I love in the Ukraine. I went to college with. I was in their house. They have family over there. So I have a lot of love for people in the Ukraine. Okay. But let's talk business-wise for just a moment. You understand the importance of Ukraine in global agricultural trade, right? Wheat and many valuable things come out of there. All the countries involved know that. So it must continue. That must continue. So now they're pulling back. There's a pullback now. Not only that, but at some point, everything has to be rebuilt. I get the idea that when it's rebuilt, Ukraine will be a thriving environment. It'll be this is going to take some time, but everything's going to run through that Stellar-based system. Everything. They will tokenize everything to speed up the restructuring and building of Ukraine. Okay. Now, in the tokenizing of everything, a lot of that value is going to bring consistent flow to the Stellar ecosystem, to XLM. Everything in the Stellar ecosystem uses XLM. That's going to be huge. Now, they've been working on this for quite some time. There's no way that I believe that only Stellar is, only Ukraine is going to be using Stellar outright for CBDCs. No, I think Stellar's laying low. That's how I feel. I think they're laying low because they see what's going on with the SEC right now. Not saying that Stellar will have any problems because it's so decentralized, it's ridiculous. But, I mean, heck, they even have a nonprofit at the front of pushing everything right now. But still, they want to avoid certain problems. They're setting up quietly and they're accumulating power. They have the UN in their back pocket, the CFTC in their other pocket. I mean, they're accumulating a lot of power. Why? Why? Then if Caroline DeFam loves Stellar so much, you think that they're not going to let Stellar run, just run wild in the United States when there's regulatory clarity? Now, they have all these people calling out for regulatory clarity as of late. I haven't seen a lot, but everyone's saying 2023, regulatory clarity. There was some articles released today with some politician somewhere saying that they thought there will be regulatory clarity in 2023. Everything does seem like it's coming to a climax. It does. I'll say that. I'll say that. But I want to actually see actions taken. No one's taken action just yet. So I want to see them actualize these things. But if there's regulatory clarity, I'll say this. I think Ripple, Stellar, and Algorand, and I could be wrong on this, but because of their relationships in the United States, and this filters out, or how do I say that? This trickles out, not filters out. This trickles out to everywhere else because obviously the rest of the world is waiting on the United States. A lot of them. We've heard multiple countries say we want to see a positive outcome to the Ripple case before we move forward. And South Korea came out. We read that article. And South Korea said we're waiting on a positive outcome to the Ripple versus SEC case before we move forward. All right. So there is a ripple effect that happens when anything happens in the United States. Unfortunately, it's that way right now. I think Stellar, Ripple, and Algorand, if there's a positive outcome to that SEC case, I think they're going to go insane with announcements, partnerships, and I think a lot of small businesses are going to gobble them up. And that rush, the medium-sized businesses, the large businesses that SBI Remit was talking about that were on the side, individuals who are accumulating the cryptos, all of this rush. I mean, I think that we're looking at mass adoption with a rapidity, a rapid pace that we've never seen before. I think that that's what's going to happen. The rest of the world, as I said before in one of the first chapters, because of the global debt, I think that they're moving at a lightning speed because they need to protect themselves just in case. They need control, a little bit more control, not just when it comes to their people. I mean, to their capital against some of the powers in the world. Those decentralized systems are becoming rapidly more delicious to them. And then what, if all of that does occur, what does it do to that price? Keep in mind payroll, right? So now, let's move on here, okay? So then we have this tweet here from Stellar. It's about Paris Blockchain Week. It says, "This morning's sessions have been truly unforgettable, thanks to the inspiring insights shared by our esteemed speakers. Their vision for the future of the industry is nothing short of revolutionary, and with constructive actions to match. It will surely become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Exciting times ahead." And they have a picture here of Danelle Dixon. She says, quote, "We need to protect innovation." I 100% agree. Listen, this is powerful. There's a lot of people at Paris Blockchain Week. A lot of big, powerful bank coin companies are at Paris Blockchain Week, but they chose to put Stellar here. You think it's a coincidence? Everybody's showing Stellar all this love? Like, that there's not a lot going on behind the scenes? I always want to draw people back to when Danelle Dixon did that interview. Don't you ever forget. And they never released. Remember I said, this was a while ago. Remember I said that there were some announcements that would blow people's minds? Then somebody leaked, well, right after I said that, then somebody leaked the MoneyGram deal. Remember that? That wasn't the only one. Then So people probably like, oh, Alpha Nee, man, you've heard wrong information. Only for Danelle Dixon to then come out and say she let it slip in that interview. It's still on YouTube. And she said something about, I'm paraphrasing, that she alluded to they were talking to multiple central banks. Why? Who are these other central banks she was talking about? They never elaborated on that. That's from her mouth. That means that there's a lot that they're not telling us. Now, I don't know if that will be actuated or not. Maybe those projects are still going. Maybe they developed them fully. We can't know. Maybe they fell through. Who knows? But we do know that it was said that they had spoken to multiple central banks. You think that they don't want the power that Stellar offers? I refuse to believe that. You have full control like no other blockchain gives you when you deploy on Stellar. Fully decentralized. You don't have to answer to anyone. 1 million transactions per second, Starlight Protocol. They continue to innovate on their smart contracts. So yes, I do believe with regulatory clarity, we'll see. I could be wrong. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just speaking. I'm just sharing my thoughts. That's all. A little bit of research, some of my thoughts. You have to make up your own mind, make your own decisions. I'm just representing myself. That's it. Okay. But that's how I feel. Watch out for Stellar in my humble opinion, but we'll see. So now let's move on to another article here. Also more Stellar. So I wanted to cover this one the other day. I didn't get a chance to. So this tweet from Stellar says, in a world of complex financial systems, our credit line stands out as a simple, effective solution. No pre-funding, no additional collateral, just same-day settlements and unlocked capital. And then ARF tweeted this. We are happy to announce that we have teamed up with the Stellar Org Development Foundation to solve the liquidity constraints in cross-border payments by offering the world's first unsecured, short-term, USDC-based working capital financing solution. Oh, USDC. Is that, are you sure about that? That's where, what is the protocol on Stellar that provides that liquidity? That you're running USDC through in order to make sure that that value comes out on the other side. Because as we already seen, USDC is vulnerable to bank runs. And because they keep their money, a lot of their capital locked up in banks, it's not always immediately accessible. Did we not learn that? So as they're setting this up, I seem to remember that a little protocol called XLM Lumens provides liquidity for otherwise illiquid assets. Now, keep that in mind as we move into the future. And as dollar dumping comes in, as more people around the world don't want to use the dollar, countries around the world don't want to use the dollar. So now people are sitting on this USDC, right? Outside of the US, let's say, because this is where Stellar primarily wants to operate right now. They're sitting on this USDC. And what happens when the dollar is not accepted in certain places? US dollar pegged cryptos may not be accepted in certain places because they may want yuan. They may want some other currency. They may want real. So then where do you get that liquidity from? Which would mean that that price of XLM will have to go up in order to provide the liquidity necessary to move all of that USDC that could be rendered illiquid. Or rather, rendered illiquid. Yep, no, that's expedient. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. I also find it interesting that they're not pushing all of the other stablecoin based currencies. USDC doesn't Circle also have the digital, their version of a digital euro, like a stablecoin euro and such, right? Interesting. So you have that going on. Everything's looking good in my humble opinion. We just continue to keep our eyes open on the catalyst. So more Stellar news. This is from Bit. All right, Stellar related news. This is from Bit. It says here, e-Naira adoption growing. The CBDC of @SynBank currently has about 13 million electronic wallets with more than 4 million of them opened over the past couple days. So what this tells me is that their CBDC is functioning well, that BIT can be trusted to run a CBDC. Everything can continue to go smooth, that MBDCs are definitely the way of the future. As you saw, R3 is being brought in to provide other mechanisms to the e-Naira. So as a consistent stellar partner and collaborator, I think BIT is going to bring in a lot more business. And this is one way that they're telling everyone that, hey, everything's going well. You should come and work with us. Remember, they did the thing down in Brazil. They have what's going on. Believe that they're the ones who are providing certain services for the CBDC in Ukraine. It says Nigeria digital currency transactions jumped 63% on cash shortages. That's another thing. Cash shortages. A lot of countries are going to, it's my humble opinion, they're going to be removing cash to force people to utilize their digital currency, because people don't want to use CBDCs. They don't, and for good reason. I say use the bank coins outright so you can maintain your freedom, honestly. But I'll take that CBDC money. Yeah, that CBDC money and that bank money is going to make the bank coins explode. But they don't want to use CBDCs, so they've rejected them. So now what a lot of countries are doing, like I said, it's my humble opinion, but it's just suspicious that all of a sudden there's cash shortages. As openly articles have been written about people rejecting using CBDCs around the world, right? The ones that have been deployed, they've had massive adoption problems. So that's going to force a lot of money into the systems. And then if those systems are running across Stellar, then there's going to be a lot of possible, in the future, congestion that can trigger surge pricing. I'm always going to say that because I have to bring it back to why it matters, right? So I keep my eye on this. But 63% on cash shortages, come on, now that's a heck of a lot of traffic coming into the e-Naira, right? Now I'm just using that as an example, right? I'm just using that as an example because they work with BIT, that's all right? But I expect to see similar things happening with the Ukrainian CBDC that's actually running across Stellar. In the future, of course, this is all going to take time. It's going to take time. I don't expect anything to happen quickly. I never did. And I'm a long-term investor in Stellar. Simple as that. So now, let's go here because Coinbase has had some problems. Jeremy Hogan has spoken on this a little bit here. He tweeted this out, says the SEC, this is his words, not mine. The SEC is not an independent agency making rules based on the law, but a political enforcement arm of the administration and its views. Only the courts can save us now. This is about the Wells notice that Coinbase just received, which caused them to then remove staking or rewards from Algorand, which is ridiculous. But I mean, can't you just get that inside your wallet? You're like, in whatever wallet that you're using, I think, but I'm not sure. But let's take a look at this here. So it says the SEC will not let crypto companies, this is what Coinbase wrote, okay? The SEC will not let crypto companies, quote, come in and register, unquote. We tried. The Wells notice comes out of the investigation that we disclosed last summer. Shortly after the investigation began, the SEC asked us if we will be interested in discussing a potential resolution that would include registering some portion of our business with the SEC. We said absolutely yes. Specifically, the SEC asked us to provide our views on what a registration path for Coinbase could look like, which is already suspicious. So you don't have an idea, SEC, of how you wanted that to work. You're going to ask Coinbase to do it. That's already suspicious. But let's continue. Because there is no existing way for a crypto exchange to register, we developed and proposed two different registration models. We spent millions of dollars on legal support to build these proposals and repeatedly asked for the SEC's feedback. We got none. We also reiterated that we stand by our listings, which means it's a setup. That's what it means. It's a setup. Now, who's going to do something about it? And it doesn't have to be, listen, you can't wait on Congress and the Senate. These people aren't going to do anything. The people have to stand up on the ground. The people have to fight back. Hey, I can't tell people what to do, but you'll have to stand up for yourselves. Anyway, says we also reiterated that we stand by our listings process. We don't list securities today, and repeatedly invited the SEC to raise any questions about any asset at all on our platform. They raised none. We met with the SEC more than 30 times, 30, over 9 months, but we were doing all of the talking. In December 2022, we asked the SEC again for some feedback on our proposals. The SEC staff agreed to provide feedback in January 2023. In January, the day before our scheduled meeting, the SEC canceled on us and told us they would be shifting back to an enforcement investigation. Wow. We now understand that there is disagreement within the commission itself on how to proceed with the registration path. They didn't do anything at all. Nothing. They set you up. This was just 2 months ago. The investigation is still at a very early stage. We have produced documents and provided 2 witnesses for testimony. One on the basic aspects of our staking services and one on the basic operation of our trading platform. At no point in this investigation has the SEC told us a single specific concern about a single asset on our platform. To move to a Wells notice now is unusual, to say the least. If that's the case, then why did you remove staking for Algorand? At least that's the articles I'm reading. You people let me know. Did they remove staking for Algorand or not? I wouldn't know. Cold wallet, cold wallet, cold wallet. Not your keys, not your crypto. So I would know. Says at no point in the investigation has the SEC told us a single specific concern. Okay, let's move past that. Especially because our staking and exchange services are largely unchanged since 2021, when the SEC reviewed our S1 and allowed us to become a public company. Our core business model remains the same. Yeah, I mean, they're corrupt, in my humble opinion. It's just my humble opinion. Obviously, they're corrupt and they did not want to work with you in the first place. There shouldn't be that much disagreement within a commission. That's unprofessional. You know, there's a lot of unprofessionalism going on lately in the world in general. It's just a shame how this works. It doesn't seem to be anyone above them to put pressure on the SEC to correct their course. No one's doing anything. And I don't know what the heck those hearings are about that the politicians have. They bring the people in and they question them. And there's like a panel of politicians sitting there with a microphone and they ask them questions. Why? It never results in anything. Nothing. No type of action, corrective action is taken. It's just it's like a show. This is something that the people have to demand happen. The people have to take the power into their own hands if they know what's good for them. But hey, maybe they won't. This is not advice. But they probably should, but it's not advice. Because there's no one else going to fight for you. Don't wait for these people to fight for you. Stand up for yourself. You're a company, stand up for yourself. If you feel like you're being wrong, stand up for yourself. If you're a person and you feel like you're being wrong, stand up for yourself. You want better, you deserve better, go get better. Bring better to you. So in that way, I somewhat agree with Jeremy Hogan on what he said. So now everything, because Coinbase has waited so long, they never fought. They didn't help Ripple fight, and they have acquiesced to everything. They removed XRP, even though SEC said they didn't tell them to do that. Now they removed the staking for Algorand. I mean, isn't that sort of like admitting guilt in a way? You should have kept the staking. Fight them and keep it. You don't want to fight, and that's the problem. The bullies are going to continue to take from you. You have to, in this world, you have to have some fighting spirit in you. You can't run from it. You can't. I'll tell you what, man, growing up, listen, I grew up in a tough neighborhood. And I remember my father sending me back to the school because some kid pushed me down. I was coming out of school, it was after school. Some kid pushed me down. I come home. I don't remember if I was crying or not. I was very little at the time, probably like in first or second grade or something like that. And, this is the old days. People can't parent like this anymore. But I remember I went up to my father. He was standing on the steps waiting for me. And I was crying. He brought me in the house. He said, son, what's going on? I said, hey, this kid pushed me down. He just kept pushing me down. That's all he did. Boom, boom, just kept pushing me down. And I said, this kid kept pushing me down. My father said, listen, son, you can't let people push you around. Now, we're going to go back out here. You're going to walk back down to that school and you're going to fight him. I was like, what? You're going to, like, you want to unleash me? Like, because, you know, back then it was like you learned how to fight, but at the same time, you were taught this extreme discipline of like, hey, don't fight, you know, don't get into trouble. He said, no, son. He said, you go back down to that school and you fight that bully. Right? Because he knew if I didn't, every single day that bully was going to push me down. Every chance he got, he was going to push me around. And I went back down there. I said, and with the blessing of my father, I was all that boxing that he taught me, all that the martial arts that he taught me, I unleashed it. I unleashed it. It never felt so good to stand up for myself. Right? And let me tell you something. I never got bothered by anybody. It was, you know how the kids would crowd around and watch a fight. Oh, it's a fight, and they would crowd around like that. I never had a problem after that with that individual, or really at that school. I never had any problem after that. Anyway, you have to. The point of that story is you have to stand up to the bullies, or they're going to keep coming and taking from you until you have nothing left. Life is a fight. My Busy Bone said, and life is a fight to the street lights. Tonight I might go meet the Reaper. All right, I don't do a good Busy Bone. Sorry, Busy. Busy's like, I don't sound like that, Alpha Need. Oh man, my apologies, Busy. That was from the Busy Bone song Father from his I think the album was called Father. That was a good album, man. Good album. So anyway, let's move on here. A little bit more. So then we have this tweet here from Stacy Wharton. It says, hi, #AlgoFam. Woke up this AM, like many of you, to find that Coinbase killed rewards. They've now informed us that they are evaluating their services in light of recent regulatory scrutiny, the Wells notice. And for that reason, they will no longer support algo rewards for retail customers. Let's scroll down here. It says they will provide support to customers who want to participate in governance directly as individual governors, and will continue to offer algo trading to all users and governance rewards to their institutional investors. Also, there have been some questions about this, but no, they wouldn't take your algos, lock them up in governance, and keep the governance rewards themselves. We'll post more info from them as they make available. Okay. So then, it also says somebody went on to tweet as Stacy Wharton, who's been doing a great job, by the way, and they said that people should kick Coinbase out of the reward system or something like that, or the governance. I don't know. I don't know. It was something akin to that, but you have to understand that Algorand is so decentralized. You can't stop anybody from, this is from my humble understanding, I don't think you can stop anybody from participating in governance. Even if you wanted to ban Coinbase or something like that, if you felt Coinbase wronged Algorand, like you couldn't do that. The very nature of decentralization means that no one party is in control, so you can't do that. Anyway, so yeah, but Coinbase has been crossing a lot of people. They crossed the XRP army. Now they're crossing the Algorand. I don't know. Algorand's community I don't know if they have a name or not. I've been in Algorand since the beginning. That was the third crypto that my brother told me about. It was XRP, XLM. They came together. He told me about them together. And then Algorand, right? And then I went a little bit deeper with Algorand, you know. He just knew Algorand was good. And I went real deep with Algorand, real deep. So anyway. So now let's move on to this next article here. We're going to skip this one. It's about the Wells notice at Coinbase, but I already read that from Jeremy Hogan. So then Algorand has this here, this tweet. We are thrilled to partner with @Sheesh Finance and help connect early stage projects from the incubator in the Middle East. Marhaban to everybody out there. Marhaban. Yes, I speak just, My Arabic is it's not that good anymore. Ana arifu Arabi. Kalilin. Oh yeah, I know I'm rusty. I don't really practice anymore. My apologies. Anyway, it says to help connect early stage projects from their incubator in the Middle East to the broader Algorand ecosystem. So once again, the Middle East is setting itself up for victory. They're setting themselves up to thrive. They're setting themselves up for good times. I'm telling you right now, they're doing it. UK is trying a little bit. They're trying a little bit. And they've actually been doing a pretty good job, actually having meetings with Ripple and Quant. They've been doing pretty good. Hong Kong is doing it also. And listen, let me tell you something. This is what they report. Australia has been going deep. There was a couple articles I didn't cover the other day about Australia. They're going even deeper with the DLT infrastructures. So Australia seems to be doing a good job as well. We have a lot of great people on the channel from Australia. Let us know if what we're having reported over here that Australia is getting in deep with the DLTs. If that's what you're hearing on the ground over there, is that real or is that just what they're reporting over here? I don't know. So there's been like one bank after another. And I think there was another bank in Australia utilizing Ripple once again. Like I said, good people in Australia, great subscribers here. Let us know in the comment section if that's actually true. Have you heard anything about this? And all around the world, really. Let us know what's going on. I'll tell you what, it's very hard getting truthful information in the West. It's very difficult. All right, so now let's move on here. I'm going to get in all of these articles that I can, despite the time today. Despite the time. Usually I rush it. And I really don't want to do that. I'm at my best when I take my time. And some people don't understand. If they don't have the time to watch the entire video, they don't have to. You can scan through, use the chapters. You could jump around, watch a little bit of this, to that, come back later. You can watch some Hedera, watch some Algorand. A lot of people are not like that, though. They just see the time in the video and say, oh, it's too long. But there's chapters, just like many videos all in one. So I don't have to release multiple videos a day, clog up your timeline. So this is from Hedera. Stater.Hedera. It says here, WePay, the Caribbean's leading payments company, have launched WeCoin settlement network. It's the Caribbean's first multi-territory settlement network on the Hedera mainnet. So Hedera, there we go again, says, and will actively help bank the bankless in Africa. And, they're going to the Caribbean. Oh, they're going to the Caribbean. Can I come with you, Hedera? So Hedera expands even more, builds even more relationships and corridors. They've been doing a lot lately. Good job, Hedera. Good job. Okay, so now let's go here to this one here. This is from Blade Wallet. It says here, we are thrilled to announce the listing of HBAR for the first time in Japan. The hashtag Blade Labs team are proud to have been part of the strategic collaboration with Mercury to achieve this listing and are looking forward to providing wallet infrastructure development for their HBAR staking service product due to launch soon. This is a major step towards enterprise adoption in Japan. Enterprise adoption in Japan. Japan is stellar in XRP land. Ooh, Hedera saying they want in. Okay, Hedera, I see it. Okay. Do it. Do it. We have a lot of HBAR, a lot. So I like where this is going. They would do wonders in Japan. Actually, I never thought about Hedera establishing itself in Japan, but I could see that, yeah. And they layer so good with their smart contracts. Oh, they have some of the best smart contracts on the planet. They would layer great in conjunction with Stellar and XRP, who are very deep in Japan. All right. All right. So now let's move on here. We're almost at the end, everybody. Oh, we're doing a good job today. We are doing a good job. So let's end off here. I have two more articles, actually, but let's end off here. This one is titled, How Crypto May React as Bank of England Lifts Rates to Highest in 14 Years. Wow. It says, in a move that surprised some market observers, the Bank of England recently raised its benchmark interest rate to 4.25%, the highest level since 2008. As the financial world digests this news, Many are wondering what this decision could mean for Bitcoin and the broader crypto market. Interest rates and monetary policy section. Interest rates play a crucial role in managing inflation and fostering economic growth. Central banks like the BOE adjust these rates to stabilize their respective economies. This latest rate hike comes in the context of rising inflationary pressures and an attempt to cool down the overheated economy. Other central banks have taken similar actions, reflecting a trend toward tightening monetary policies worldwide. The connection between interest rates and asset prices is well established. Generally, higher interest rates can reduce the appeal of riskier assets. Yeah, of course. As investors seek safer income-generating investments like gold. Listen, we position ourselves so well, no matter where people go, we're winning. They go to gold, we're winning. They go to crypto, we're winning. Wherever you want to go, we're going to win. We took positions very, very early strategically just for these moments. So everything is looking good. We expect this. This is typical. And, listen, they raised theirs. Then the Fed in the United States did what? They raised theirs 25 basis points. They kept it going up. They kept tightening, so to speak. So, others follow suit. This is typically how it goes. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.